Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening. Just give me a second. I'm a bit all over the place today. Oh man. Let's see. Let's see. How you been? How's the family? How's mommy and daddy doing? How's the job? How's the business? How's um, how's your neighborhood? Is everybody is everybody doing all right? Um, Let me just give me 1 second. Well, I'm doing okay. As you can hear, my voice is a little bit husky, but we are alive and kicking. We are good to go. Um, all right. Good evening. My name is Kendrick, and you're live right here on a Mastermind for Men. And we are once again looking forward to just hang out here for another evening of being stretched and being challenged in our thinking and just to grow together and um, yeah, and see what we can learn and um, let some of this gentleman anointing rub off on us and yeah. How's your week been? How's your week been? I already asked how's mama doing. Is mama okay? Sorry, Jess, I'm just it's just been one of those weeks, where you don't know whether you're coming or going. uh, and this is good. It's not necessarily a bad thing, as long as we're making sure we're moving in the right direction and we are being productive. Um, I think I was having a conversation with my missus the other day, and I said, "Oh, we're just being productive," and then she was saying, it's not just about being productive; it's about being able to take some rest also, because sometimes you can just kind of like keep on going and going and going and going, and suddenly you find, whoa, what day is today? Is it Monday or is it Friday? Why? Because you're pushing productivity. Yeah, but it's all good. It's all good. Um, Last week we had a great session. We um, we had the session facilitated by Mr. Jordan. Andrew was helping us, and and just showed us a couple of things that was just amazing when we're talking about creativity. And what an amazing session! What an amazing session! Um, Let me just see if any of the guys are jumping on this evening. If not, I'll be talking to myself. I don't mind. I can do it. I can do it. When well, you got to be comfortable talking to yourself. It's very important because there are going to be days that's going to show up that there's nobody around, and it's like you're going to feel uncomfortable in your skin. Don't be uncomfortable, bro. Just look in the mirror and say, "Good morning, Kendrick. How are you today?" Oh, you don't know whether this is morning or afternoon or evening. Um, but yeah, but we're looking forward to this evening session, and I'm leaning towards us this evening talking about the environment that we are finding ourselves in. How conducive is that for growth? Um, all right, let's see. One of my bros has jumped on here. Let's see. Good evening, sir.
Do it. Good evening. How
How
are
are
you?
you doing? I'm good. I'm good. I
Great.
like the viewers. Kind of like remind me of the forest, my friend. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Oh man, that's
yeah.
good.
Excelling in manufacturing these views.
I love it. It's brilliant. It's looking really good, man. I think
Uh,
I'm gonna have to like kind of like just put something also next to me just so that it can look like I'm just uh, I like now we're talking Ventura. You know Ventura, but oh
uh,
man, oh man. So, sorry, breaking up.
We have to make the best of what we have. That's
Abs- Absolutely, absolutely. But it's a good feature. I like that. I like
that's
that. I always like a background with a plant or something
right.
in the background.
Yeah.
That it does something to it. How's you been? How's the family? Everybody all right?
Everything is good. Thank you very much. We got to the end of the. We're getting to the end of the week, but it looks like it's been 2 weeks already. Already,
Bruh, bruh, tell me about it, man. Yeah, but God will help us. He continue to help us.
yeah,
I've been a bit down and out. You can, as you can hear my voice,
yeah.
it's a little bit. I was like, am I gonna tell
Very,
somebody? Can tell somebody to take the session today because I'll be whispering on here. But it's all good. It's all
yeah,
good. It's all a team effort. So I won't be talking the whole night anyway. So that's fine.
and absolutely.
Uh, so I know. Apologies. We got in here a little bit later than usual.
That's fine.
Getting all scrambled up. But I was just saying to the guys on here that um, I'm leaning towards us talking this evening about talking about our environment. How conducive is our environment for growth? I know we haven't touched on the topic of growth for a while. But I think every conversation that we have on here anyway leans towards growth. To be honest,
Absolutely.
yeah, everything on here is about us getting better. It's about us being stretched. But I want us to take some time this evening. Let's just look at um, our environment. How important it is for us to be in an environment that will help us to um, that will expedite our growth, if you like.
Yeah,
Um, because the key is for us to, number one, not only to grow but also to measure it, because how will we actually know that we are growing if we
yeah,
can't anything, if in fact if we can't measure it, then how do you know that we are making some progress? um, so just looking at our environment today, oh, my bro just jumped on, Mr. Richie, good to see you, bro.
and
My
it,
goodness. How you doing,
The
bro?
the guy got fancy plant next to him, man. I put the world next to me then.
I'm telling you, bro, and everybody's noticing that plant today. I'm telling you, there's no way that you're gonna get away. That's the first. That's the first thing that I've also mentioned when I jumped on. It's like, wow, man, that is really good. How
Yes.
that,
you been?
that's my usual corner in the house. So the
Uh,
plant, and I know him as well. So
yeah, that's it. That's it, man. Good to see you,
yes,
Clinton. Thank you so much for jumping on, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome, awesome. Andrew is trying to connect. I think he's just having a challenge with this. All right, there we go.
Okay.
fantastic.
Mr. Jordan. All right, I think he's still connecting. Are you?
He's nearly there.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's get cracking. So yeah, just apologies. Hopefully you guys can still hear me nicely, even though my voice is a little bit crackly. But
Mm.
um, if you can't, then I'll just shut up and somebody somebody will just have to pick up. But yeah, so I was just saying to Mr. Chido that today this what I'm looking to lean towards is us to talk about how conducive is um, our environment for growth, because coming on here we are after growth. I don't know anybody after growth. I am. This is my main thing, man. It's like, please, I don't want tomorrow next week.
All
Yep.
of us.
Yeah, put up your hand.
Can't
I,
put up my foot,
I
just my
see
hands.
I see a hand in the back there. I see a hand in the back. It reminds me of church now, bro.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, Kendrick, it's
Yes.
interesting you just said that because the minute I jumped on here, sorry guys, I just jumped off from a client call straight here.
No worries. Go
But the
for it.
minute I jumped on here,
Hmm.
instantly this scripture came to mind, and I'll share it quick before Andrew
Yeah,
comes.
go for it. Go for it.
Jeremiah 29:11.
Mm. Hmm.
I'm reading from the Amplified Version.
Come on now.
For
That's
I
the.
know the plans and thoughts I have for you, says the Lord.
Hmm.
Plans for peace and well-being, not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. It's interesting that is his promise to us, even
Yeah.
before we hit this earth physically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if we just remember that continuously all the time, when we hit certain blocks and certain bits that we deem as blocks, but they are areas of growth.
Mhm.
Every time we
Yeah.
hit this thing
Yeah.
that we,
Yeah.
this wall that looks like a wall, whatever. To
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
honest, what you actually come up against is, this is my view. So you've been on 5 kg weights.
Yeah. Yeah.
God wants you to pick up 20 kg. Actually, no, no, no. You want to pick up 20 kg.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So when you pick it up now, you haven't consulted God about this. You just pick up 20 kg. You're like, oi, that's
Yeah.
the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's growth.
That's it. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then we go back to the scripture and he reminds us, he said, yo, I know you want to do 20 kg. We're going to get there. It's part of growth. And I'm with you. Just remember me. Yeah. That's what I wanted to share.
Awesome. Awesome, sir. Yeah. You see, when we are growth minded, um, everything, it's almost like, when they say, you when you decide to buy a specific car,
Hmm.
somebody decide, I'm going to buy myself a Range Rover, bro, and then
That's me right
suddenly
there. Hmm.
and
That's me.
suddenly and suddenly you
I can't. No, thank you.
and suddenly everybody's driving one, isn't it? And suddenly everywhere you look, you
Yeah.
just see Range, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because now it comes into your awareness.
Yes.
And I think that's the same for growth. As soon as you decide, like, you know what, I'm going to grow in the specific area, and suddenly you see opportunities that wasn't there before. No, it was there, but you were just not aware of it. Why? Because you haven't made a conscious decision.
Yes.
I have not made a conscious decision that I'm going to grow in the specific area.
Yes.
And I think that's key. I think Mr. Jordan is now sorted. Thank you, sir. All right. Hopefully you can hear us nicely, Mr. Jordan. Say hi so that we can see, yeah, if your mic is active, so that you don't get away with not contributing if it's time for you to come in. All right, you're still working on it. No worries. No worries. And I think once you're at a place where you actually made that intentional decision, but once you become conscious about, this is the area, and it's not just about growth in general, it's about us deciding which area it is that we want to develop in. You start seeing it all over. So that's why, I'm not surprised that you notice certain things, with our in our day-to-day life. We just see those opportunities, we spot it, because it's now in our awareness. And so this evening, I'm just thinking, let's just have a conversation about our environment. What would be the are you aware of what environment is good for you to grow? Are you aware that the environment that you're finding yourself in, whether is that environment conducive to growth, or is it pulling you back? I think it's important for us to have this conversation, because there's a there's a principle or a law that goes that uh, it's when whichever way you want it, when you want to look at it as a principle or you want to look at it as a law, but change, when you and I are placed in an environment of change, in an environment that is conducive to growth, which means people, uh, the environment that you finding yourself in. Let's, for example, maybe um, take work. Your work environment. If you're surrounded by people that are growth minded,
Mhm.
it's going to be easier, and where you are given the opportunity to stretch and to use your gifts, and to go and push boundaries, where it's like they give you free reign, not to burn down the company, but at least to be creative. And last we spoke about creativity, because it's important for us to have room for creativity, because that gives us some scope to grow. Now, my question to us this evening: are you actually aware of the environments, the different environments that you are finding yourself in this evening? Not this evening, but in general, in your life right now. Are they conducive for growth? Do you feel like you need to make some changes? Because earlier I was saying to Mr. Chido that we can say that we are chasing growth, we are going after growth, but um, can are you in a place where you can measure where you were last year compared to where you are right now? Um, because if we are not able to do that, then something is missing. Or even if you are able to measure your growth, and you feel like your growth has not been the way or it's not at the place where you would like it to be, maybe it's time for us to have a look at our environment, because our environment do play a vital role in that. So I just want to hear your guys' insight on that. Where are you at? Are you even aware that your environment plays an important role um, to your growth? What are your guys' thoughts on that? So you're done. Is your mic working, sir? Can you just say a hi to us quickly?
Yes, hi.
Oh yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. We just wanted to make sure. Thank you, sir. We just wanted to make sure. Right. Seeing that you are unmuted, you might as well. All right.
Yeah,
Go.
I might as well jump straight in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your environment is very important, because that's something you have a choice often about to make yourself.
Mhm.
And what was interesting for me when I changed jobs, because I've been with one employer for so long, all of a sudden going into London once a week just opened up all these new learning opportunities. And first of all, meeting new people who are new to a new division within a 90-year-old company, is interesting, because everybody I meet on a weekly basis, the environment is new to them as well. And we're discovering things that otherwise crosses many years of some people's experience. Because, for instance, there was one, you normally get a buddy that when you join a company, and you get someone who's with the company for long to show you how the systems work and everything. My buddy was somebody who started on the same day, So they put two people together in an environment that both of you don't know. And you get loads of instructions of all the onboarding software and training you have to do. But it was interesting to me to have somebody who's new to the company as well, and we start on the same day. So this chap, he leads sort of the modeling side of engineering, and I'm in a different area. But when we walked lunchtime, I found out he said, let's go for a walk. And where we work is near the Thames River. And he actually studied at King's College London 30 years ago. He was a student there. So he knew the whole area. He knew the environment. And I asked him a bit about, as we were walking, he points out, here's the Royal Chambers, the law courts, where the big law cases end up, all the major disputes, the Johnny Depp saga we saw on television played out there. And I wasn't aware. I've seen it on the news, but I couldn't place where this was. And he tells me, no, you're actually standing right in front of the main entrance where all the cameras used to be, picking people up. And it's walking down to the Thames. We look across the river, and he tells me, do you know that building over there on the other side of the bank? Apparently, the time OXO, you know, the cubes that we normally put in our stews and things that we make. Now, back then when those buildings were built, and this is like hundreds, probably more than 100 years ago, they weren't allowed to advertise outside the building facing the Thames River. So if the ship merchants or anyone comes past, they can't advertise directly facing the River Thames. So they cleverly shaped the windows in the shape of O and an X and an O. So when they designed the building, they actually put the OXO logo in the shape of the windows. But the environment, he knew this long before I ever knew it, and he was familiar with the environment. And although some things can be new, if you can have a change of environment, you can have a change of new opportunities, new discoveries, but you wouldn't know unless you made the change. And if you had an experience of a certain environment in the past, it's a good measure to know if you want that same environment again in the future. So yes, our environments is interesting, and sometimes we get stuck in our environment as well, because that's what we know, that's what we're comfortable with, but not realizing this may be a better environment, a better situation to explore and discover from. But our human nature is to be comfortable, so we don't change our environment very often. A simple one is if you got your favorite type of food, your favorite restaurant, and your favorite location for that. Let's say you like Nando's, like I do, and you got 3 Nando's like we got in Cambridge, but you're always going to the one, which is your favorite one. You get the same chicken everywhere, the same, no different, but your environment, you choosing. And if you tell yourself, oh, I'm really bored of this environment, you might go to the others and then soon discover, no, but the one I used to go to, that's actually my favorite one, so I'll keep going there. So you choose your environment, and it does have an impact on not just your choice and your freedom of choice, but your continued experience, your continued opportunities by either changing your environment or staying in the environment you are. But it's a personal choice, and it has its pros, its cons. It has all that opportunities and disadvantages as well. So it's a really interesting question.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this. I love the way that you've put the part when you can go and eat the same chicken at different places, but it will give you a different experience, and that is absolutely true, because an environment will determine your experience, because we might go and do exactly the same thing at different places, but the experience will be different, just because not all environments are the same. And that's why it's key for us to be very picky. Well, it might sound, yeah, you got to be very picky, especially when it involves your growth. You have to be very picky. I mean, maybe some people are just picky where they go and eat. Even more so, we got to be picky where we hang out, or the environment that we place ourselves in when it comes to growth. I think that is very, very important. Thank you so much for highlighting that, my friend. Anybody else wanna have a go at it? Give us some insight on that.
Yeah. I really love that, Andrew. Really, really, really good. I would add a word that we normally use quite a lot, which is the word intentional. I would say we also need to be intentional about experiencing environments. And yes, I agree, being picky. But we've got to be so careful that we haven't set our minds to something specific, because it would make no point of going to a new environment, because you become so fixated and set that you are really not open to a new experience. You're going, you're going because they say you should go. They say that if you want to grow, but you yourself have not become intentional about your own growth. You're now doing it superficially on the surface for people, for different intentions. The challenge with that is you may grow, but then you will begin to struggle with the responsibilities of that growth and the price of that growth, because you haven't done it for yourself. For me, it's something where I very much appreciate. I love sceneries. I love landscapes. I love quiet places. I love water flowing. Those are areas that is very interesting where I grow. I love to be around people who know way more than me. When I am with people who know exactly what I know, to some degree or less, that's good, but not really good for me, because it doesn't really push me to grow. I like to be in an environment when I ask somebody a question, I mean, they know so much. I need to, it helps me to shut up and learn and take that in. So when I'm in environments that cause me to speak too much, or, to say what I know, I'm very, very cautious of such environment. It's good to share. But the reason is because there's so much that you can give out, and then it comes a time when you need to be able to stop, and you need to be able to absorb, and you need to be able to grow. So putting myself in conducive environments where quietness is very important for me. It allows me to think. It allows me to very quickly, I can go from a stage of not understanding or knowing something to having a full-blown idea or ideas, right? So for me, I love that. The other thing I have had to learn to do was to really allow myself to experience environments, so that I can then grow and learn and let those aspects of that, like the way Andrew was talking about his friend, his newfound friend, explaining these various areas and what they were and stuff like that. I love stuff like that, but here's my personal challenge that only my wife found out after years of marriage. I get very bored very easily. So I am growing. I love that. But the minute you start doing that, I am now struggling to keep up. So what I then tend to do that people don't realize, in order to allow myself to experience environments, there have times when I have a big gulp of that experience, and then there have times when I do it piecemeal to allow myself. Otherwise, here's the deal. Let's use the Nando's example. You go with this mindset, you're not ready to absorb, and therefore the chicken tastes exactly the same experience you have. But here's the truth. Every single one of them does not give the same experience. It looks good the same. The customer experience may be looking the same, but your experience, you have negated that. And therefore, over time, you're the one that's affected by growth. So sharing it from that example and from that angle that I just gave, my hope in sharing it that way was to say to us, Number one, if you're serious about growth, you have to not be the introvert you always are, or give yourself these labels and say, look, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to learn some new stuff, I'm going to connect with some, I'm going to get this new experience, be it what it may, because it's not going to be the thing that you're accustomed to. So it may get under your skin a little bit. You see what I mean? But in hindsight, here you have a new experience. You can take away your cons and your pros, and there you grow.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. My goodness. You know what? I really like what you said. Yeah. You said you like to put yourself in an environment or hang out with people that know more than you. I think that is really key when it comes to an environment, because sometimes we feel like we need to only hang around people that is in the same level of our thinking. How am I going to become better if everybody thinks just like you, they walk like you, they talk like you, they sound like you, everything is like their thinking is in the same kind of on the same level. They don't know more than what you know. So which means every time when you meet, you have the same kind of conversation, right? What did you eat last night? Did you enjoy the chicken? Yeah, I enjoyed the chicken. So there's nothing thought provoking. There's nothing that kind of like challenges your thinking to say, all right, Kendrick. So whatever the case might be, what are you working on? What are you know something that will stretch you, because everything is just comfortable. But now when you hang out with people that when they talk about the kind of money that they make, it makes you cough twice. It makes you cough twice. Oh man. And that kind of like, it makes environments that will make you feel uncomfortable. And I think uh, I don't know, about sometimes we kind of like want to run away from environments like that, because not everyone is comfortable with being uncomfortable. When you it reminds me when I went to um, me and my wife, we went to a wedding of most probably a month or so ago. And because he's in the medical profession, on the table, everyone here now you see doctor this, you see professor this, you see doctor. I'm like, Lord have mercy. So what am I gonna do? So what am I gonna be talking about when these guys kind of have a conversation? But now I had to grab hold of myself and say, no, that's fine, because now there's certain things that they know that you don't know. Just sit there and listen. Be uncomfortable there. If you don't know even the stuff they're talking about, just be, just smile and wave, boy. Just smile and wave. Why? Because you have to train yourself to be uncomfortable in environments where people in companies where people they know. It's not that they are better than you. It's not that they're more intelligent than you. They are just specializing in a specific field, um, that you kind of like, you just know that this is my eye, this is my nose, and this is my ear, this is it. But you can still say, I'm comfortable being here because I can learn something, and I can grow, and I can walk away from here knowing something I didn't know before. But that kind of like this, it takes some kind of a posture, it takes some kind of a courage to be able to do this, instead, because you can kind of like, just walk off and just I'm just gonna go on the dance floor and just avoid everybody, everybody, instead of just being there. So great one, Mr. Richie. I really like that, being able to place ourselves in environments that are a little bit uncomfortable, and or seems to be, just depending on our thinking anyway. Chido, well, any thoughts on that, sir?
I think the guys have covered everything, talking about being in uncomfortable situations, and that's what causes growth. When we talk about growth, so
Yeah.
we always think about seeds that's planted and so on.
Mhm. Mm.
When it starts growing, it's in the soil. And when it starts growing, it starts moving away from that dark environment. It's looking for where there is space, where there's opportunity to grow. And that's a position of discomfort. If it, it stays under the soil as for as long as it's comfortable there, but as soon as it becomes uncomfortable, it starts shooting up the fruit, the plant will start growing. And once the plant starts growing, it's not going to go back in there. And that's how growth is, embracing that uncomfortable situation. I think Andrew touched on it as well, making sure that we are not stopping ourselves from going out of our comfort zones, because that's one that's been recurring for me in the past week or so. When you find yourself in a situation where you are trying to use all the ideas that you have, and you explore this one, it looks like you're stuck. You explore that one, it looks like you're stuck. Sometimes the only thing that can unlock it is repositioning ourselves. Just leave where you are normally, change your routine, change where you are, change the people you talk to, change the books you read, change what you listen to. Just be careful and intentional about all those things. And all these things, they are the environment that we're creating. The people you speak to on the phone, the people that you look at their work, and so on and so forth. Even the things that you think of, because that's an environment as well that you have to make sure that you keep clear and pure, so that whenever you are looking to grow and you really mean to grow, what happens is that you are taking that time, making sure that whether it's the food you're eating, whether it's the people you're listening to, whether it's the books you're reading, whether it's the radio station you're listening to or music you're listening to, whether it's the sort of things you allow to come and occupy space in your mind. If all those things are there, then growth will happen. But most times, there's that natural instinct that we have, stay where we are, and just move forward. And the other thing is also around thought. We must be truthful to ourselves. Sometimes, and this is, I don't know about you guys, but if someone sat you in a corner and said to you, listen, let's just talk about where you are right now in your life, as it pertains to growth and progress and success in life. Considering all the gifts and talents that you have, do you think you have done well? Do you think you could have done better? For most of us, it will be no. But even though we know that it will be no, we then go on avoiding, intentionally avoiding those situations where somebody's going to say to us, I know what you can do. I honestly, I don't think you are anywhere close to where you should be, but I thought I should tell you. So when we start getting close to such people or such situations that somebody might challenge us and say, oh, talk about what you have achieved, or where you are really in your life, just someone who knows you and knows your capability. We tend to stay away from those people. But these are questions that we know we've asked ourselves, and we know how we've answered it. We know that we can do more. But why are we not doing more? And that brings to mind ensuring that you have people who can challenge you, because human nature is lazy. If somebody doesn't challenge you, you will not step up your game. And the unfortunate thing is that we all know the level at which we're playing in comparison to what is possible for us, in comparison to what we are supposed to do. But being able to put ourselves in an environment where we can be challenged and pushed to become who we really are, and not just be comfortable because we are successful in because for me, you look at the Bible, it says to whom more is given, more is expected from. So if you have that in mind, you might find that maybe somebody like Elon Musk, as much as he's a multi-billionaire, has still got more potential. And in fact, if you speak to him, he will tell you there's more to do. There's a lot more to do. I've not even scratched the surface. And then when you bring it down to our level now, you begin to look at it and say, yes, I've achieved success in some areas. Not to be ungrateful with what the Lord has allowed us to achieve, but it's very important that we stay in environments that's going to challenge us and push us to do more, and push us to at least operate at the level at the level that the Lord has created us, and at the level of talent, with the level of talents that we've been given, so that we will have peace of mind. Because that doesn't we all know deep inside each and every one of us where we need that growth, but we need to make sure that we're not running away from those environments that's going to expose it.
Wow, wow, awesome. Well said there, sir. Thank you so much for sharing that. It comes down to us really having courage um, to put ourselves in those environments that, like just what you said now, it's kind of like it's just not comfortable to be there. Um, and all you kind of like feel like, no, it's better, and you come up with any kind of excuse. It's like you make up an excuse, and you're actually making up an excuse just to get away from that environment, because you feel right, and you know that you are being stretched here now. You know that you can do better. I know that I can do better. I know where I am right now. I'm supposed to be at least 5 or 10 steps further than where I am right now, like what you say. But what I've just been lazy. I've not been putting in the work. I've not been doing what I've told myself I was going to do. And I think it brings us back. It just reminds me of this one thing that I want to touch on, is like how comfortable are you with moving forward despite criticism? Because part of growth is us knowing how to handle criticism, because there are certain things. Because if you look at it like this, growth always comes from taking action. Period. It does not come from me reading a book. What the book does, it gives me some a new insight. It gives me some new thought, new way of thinking, a new perspective. That's what the information in a book. That's what it does. But without me acting on what I've been exposed to, there will not be any growth. There will not be any change, and action will always bring some criticism, because you and I will not get it right the first time. That's why it requires courage. That's why it requires us in surrounding ourselves with the right kind of people that they have a thinking that. Just think about it. There, you somebody that has kind of like, if you want to quote unquote made it, or had lived certain kind of experience of success. The advice that you will, or the way they will respond to your failure or to my failure, is different to how somebody that has not taken any chances in life will respond to my failures. Why? Because the person that has walked a similar journey will know, no, don't worry about it. Just pick yourself up again. Just go back to the drawing board and just kind of like strategize, and you'll be okay. But the next guy, he was like, wow, look at Gendry. He tried and he failed. He tried and he failed. And he's so useless. And the thing is, that's why it's important for us to put ourselves, the words that we expose ourselves to, in the environment that we set ourselves in, because that will determine how we will take in criticism. Because the criticism is always present. People will always talk. But that's fine. At least the reason, if nobody's talking about you, then it means you're not doing anything. It means you're not going beyond what you are comfortable doing. You are playing it safe, and it's exactly what Chido was saying now. We know that we are playing a smaller game than we are qualified to play, because we are still being intimidated by what. I think that's the biggest factor, is what are they going to say. It doesn't matter which environment that you find yourself in. whether it's at work, if you come up with maybe a new suggestion, or maybe it's trying to implement this system or that system, or maybe you find yourself in your business, you feel intimidating, go approach the bank or whatever, or maybe link up with a new business partner, or whatever the case might be. Why you feel like you're not up, you're not measuring up, but that's a lie. Because what does it really cost us to just open our mouth and just ask? The only thing that can come back is a no, okay, or maybe a negative. But just take it on the chin and just move on, and see it as a place where you've just grown. Why? Because you've handled it, and I've handled it in a appropriate way. Because there's always somebody that will tell us that we are wrong. Not that we are wrong, because let me tell you guys, the way I'm looking at things now is not even from a perspective of right and wrong. It's not even, you just see it in a different way and I see it in a different way. It doesn't mean that you are right and I am right and wrong, or that's just the way you see it, and I'm seeing it in a different way. And I think when you have that kind of a thinking, it sets you free. It sets you free from competition. It sets you free from feeling that you are, somebody's trying to to get you, and to bring you down. No, these are just different perspectives. And I think uh, when we find ourselves and surround ourselves with people with those kind of thinking, we stand a better chance to progress, in one way or the other, on whichever area it is that we are working on. But it's there's something that Chiro was mentioning about food. I don't know if you guys caught it, because remember, not even the type of food that you eat causes you, it contributes towards how you grow in your physical body, isn't it? Because because you can, for example, say that I will put myself in an environment where I go to the gym all the time, and I'm talk so put myself in an environment where people talk about health, but you eat whatever you want. You're not paying attention to because it's not so much just the environment itself, it's also the practical stuff that you and I do. Because I can't just say that I'm going to be all buffed up and all fit, and I'm just going, I walk around in the gym. That's not how it works, isn't it? Just being in the environment, Kendrick saying, he was saying, we're just in the environment of the gym, bro. The muscle will start, no, 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 go home, bro. It's not going to work. You gotta pick up the weights and put it up there. The same thing, you can't just be walking around healthy food and like, oh, these are nice carrots. No, you gotta put the carrot in your mouth. So I think when we find ourselves in an environment that we know that will benefit us, we need to understand, how do I maximize that environment? It's not just about being there. Being there in helps in a way that what I'm being exposed to, but unless I do the work, it won't happen. What do you guys think? Any thoughts on that? We're kind of pretty much on the top of the hour there, but I know there are some nuggets that's still going to fly out here. So have another round. Let's go for another round and hear what you guys are thinking.
Yeah, I think I'll just add something that's brilliant, Kendrick. Yeah, you pulled out quite a lot of things there, and it all makes sense, because you have to always battle your inhibitions of what you think you're capable of, and then we sometimes forget, year on year, our life is an accumulation of experiences, and you have to grow as your age grows. And you can't stop yourself getting old. Why not just mature and grow as much as you can? Leaving past experiences, whether they're good or bad, and making an effort to make better choices, better experiences. Yes, there will be challenges, but it's like walking up a steep mountain. If a part gets too steep and there's a rock, you just go to the side and you go around it, but you still get to the point you're looking at where you want to go ahead further up. So the path might not be in a straight line up to the summit. It might not even take the time you thought it would take to get there, but you got a purpose and a focus, and you have to get there, and you have to make sure you put one step in front of the other to go forward. If you take 3 steps back and 2 steps forward, you're going in the wrong direction. So as long as you're conscious that you are growing, even if you get negative feedback or anything like that, you take it as learning experience, and you don't look back what other people might think or say, but use it as a motivation to know that you on your own journey, and nobody knows what you know. So for us humans, that's sort of profound, because nobody knows what you know. And you don't have to say everything you know in the face of someone's rejection. You can keep quiet, but know what you need to do next, and not take some things on board or not let it affect you, because you know what you know and you don't have to explain yourself. And with that knowledge, you can actually take that criticism and turn it into something positive for growth. So much so that it should motivate you to find out more, to work harder, to pick up what was said in the absence of your knowledge, and gain that knowledge and experience to take with you going forward. So I think what Chidozi said was interesting for me about just the challenges we have with growth. If you have a seed, most seeds are so small, they all look identical. And once they germinate and they grow, they don't go back. Yes, a seed can die if it's not, but it needs the right environment, isn't it, to flourish? If it's got the right environment, it should be going in one direction, that's growth and upwards. It generally doesn't go back if the environment is right. So we have to place ourselves in those environments. There was one thing I was grateful for even some of my friends at one stage actually challenging me on something I should have done and I didn't do it, and they saw the potential. I knew the potential was there, but I didn't see it, and it needed someone else to tell me. And then the penny dropped, and I knew he was right. But wouldn't it be better if we knew without somebody telling us what our potential is? So sometimes we have to really act on what we know our potential is, and not sometimes wait, because time waiting too long can also miss the opportunities for the right environment for growth. Thanks.
Sorry. Oh, anybody else want to ever go?
No, it's just let me just say the last I have my last go. My last go is just going to be going back to what's been said already. We are where we are this year. It's October, and we have been banging on about growth and so on and so forth. I haven't said what I said to discourage us, but I've said what I've said for us to constantly ask ourselves that question: are you really where you're supposed to be? Are you achieving what you believe is the at the top of your potential? Are you Are you seeing that there are ways of improvement? Are there things that you think you could do to go to the next level, to climb up the steps, for example, and go higher? Let's think about those things. And that's the sort of things I'm going to start to think about, and come out on the other side with the truth. If the answer is yes, then let's go to work on it. If the answer is no, well, I'll be coming to borrow some money from you first thing in the morning tomorrow once I get the answers. But if the answer is, yeah, there is need, please, let's do something about it. I will do something about it. I think that's what I want us to also hold, in our hearts tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I think echoing what everybody has said, I would just remind us that it doesn't matter whether you're a leader, as in, what you do on a day-to-day basis. You're required to lead a group of people, or whether you're running a business, or whether you have a job. Want to zero in a little bit and just say that this conversation should touch you as a person, touch on you as a person, and remind you that yes, you may have people that depend on you for direction. Yes, you need to be, serving and doing what you need to do. However, if you leave yourself undone, it's only a matter of time before you will feel so depleted that you will not be good enough for yourself. So it's very important that we do exactly like what Chidozi said. And mind you, I said like. I'm not saying, step for step, word for word. A growth thing is very much dependent upon you and where you want to go. Like Kendrick said, how you see it, your perspective. Yeah. Based on that, that's how you're going to move forward. My reminder here is to say that as a person, remember to prioritize your own self-growth above everything else at times. Because if you don't grow as a person, although you may position yourself in environments that encourage growth and stimulate you to grow, you will struggle. So when you begin to prioritize, whether you do your random self-checks every 3 months within yourself, and how am I doing? You just have your own you time with you. And like I think Chidozi was just saying, it's not about beating up yourself and making you feel down and all of that. And it's not about comparing you with you back then and now and all of that. It's none of that drama. It's very simple. Am I where I could be? Yeah. Most times the answer is going to be no. Guess what? That's a good start because you're being honest with yourself. And then rather than just saying, you know what, yeah, yes, we could do this, how about just keeping it simple? One little task, yeah, and say, look, I'm going to aim for this. Throw in some discipline, practice that discipline for 7 days in a row. Then go for second week and the third week. After that, it becomes a habit. So that's my encouragement to us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Richie, Mr. Jordan, Mr. Chido. Thank you so much, gentlemen. What an awesome session. Thank you so much for your insight. And I think it's just pretty straightforward, isn't it? It's for us just to pay attention to the environments that we're placing ourselves in. Because it does make a great difference in terms of how our growth will progress, and let's not take that for granted. All right, we're at the top of the hour. Thank you so much, gents, for taking out the time. Have an amazing week. Hopefully next week my voice will be much better when I come back. But
Absolutely. Well, even with the hoarse rich man's voice.
Cover that. All right. Love to the families, and you guys have an amazing time. All right. Speak to you
All right,
soon.
guys.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. All right. Cheers.
Have a good week.
Bye bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.